Good afternoon, everyone. We are here with the aging experts, and we have a really special friend on with us today. She and I met, we're introduced by another friend, and we spent over an hour chatting on the phone. Started out on Zoom. Zoom kind of messed up because I was driving, and then we just kept on and then took it to the phone. So
We
anyway.
love modern technology.
Yes, when it doesn't work. But Fran has so many ways to help you to spiral up and make your life get better as opposed to worse. So before I bring her on, I'm Carol. I have Life by Design, and I help you to live the second half of your life better than the first half of your life. So if you're wondering what to do with life, just watch our podcast, and at some point we will cover those subjects. And with me is my wonderful co-host, Miss ABarbaraEllison.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, welcome to the show. The aging experts. Little did we know a year and a half ago that we would be still here. Now we're still here, that we are having great people come on and just giving people options. Just because age is a number on a calendar, it doesn't mean that we have to stop and lose our effectiveness or just lose our joy. It just gives us another platform to reach out and try something new. Because like for myself, I'm at the age now where if you don't like something that I'm doing, well, then that's okay, because I'm doing it because it's my life. And you get to the age where you don't care what other people think.
Yeah.
And as long as you're being kind and pleasant, what difference does it make? So anyway, I am so excited to meet Fran. I have not talked to Fran yet. I have met her on Alignable. Let's give Alignable a little plug. However, Fran, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Fine. Thank you. And I'm really tickled to be here. I think this is going to be fun. I love talking about life and aging and how we can improve ourselves and keep moving and just keep moving.
Yeah, that's like, I remember that we were talking in the pre-show. My mom, but they called it back then, they called it a sewing circle, because they always brought a little piece of sewing to work on. It took years to make anything because they didn't really sew unless they all put together to do a project. And then it would be, everybody worked on it, everybody did it. But in the meantime, they chatted about life.
Yes.
And I can remember when it was my mom's turn to have it, we would come home and it was like, okay, girls, this is my sewing circle and just go do your own thing. It's like, okay, Mom. And there would be 8 or 9 women. And they were all, and it was like some of the conversations, okay, yeah, sometimes it was so much fun to eavesdrop on them, because some of them were just like really
solving problems
about life and solving issues, and which is, I think, in some ways we've lost a little bit of that.
Yes.
People tend to be a little bit more circumspect about sharing their issues. And it's like, for me now, it's like, if I firmly believe that if you have suffered with something, if you have come out of the other side with something, then you need to share that something because somebody else is going through it.
Yes. Well, so, and like I said, we had a wonderful friend introduce me to Fran. And if you're not on Alignable, let's just cut to the chase. Alignable.com. Go join. It's similar to LinkedIn, but it's way more fun.
Yeah,
so
I'm really enjoying it.
And it's about relationships.
Much more friendly.
Yes. Yeah. And it's about business, but it's also about people. It's
about relationships, about building relationships.
Right. It's not to get on and do your elevator speech, is what we call it in the business, that 30-second of here's what I do, bye now. It's not that. It's relationship, getting to know people. And so that's one of the things that's fun. But Fran's out in California. I'm in Texas, and Barbara's in Chicago area.
Chicago.
Yeah, there's Chicago.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. And Barbara and I talk almost every day.
Yeah, and thank goodness for and I just talked to my sister who lives in Montreal. She called me because Chicago itself is having some bad weather, which we had yesterday because I live way out. And so we had bad weather yesterday. Well, of course, now it's hitting Chicago and moving east. And she called and she said, Janet called and said that Chicago's having bad weather. And I said, yeah, no, for me, it's a beautiful day. But this morning it was still, because we had bad weather yesterday. And so it's finally moved out this afternoon.
Yes. Do you live in a house without fences?
I live in a house, we have a one little pen for our dog, and that's it. Some of the houses have fences, but
no, without fences. I mean, do you live in a house area without?
I live in a house without fences. Yeah,
I love it.
But she does live in town.
But I do live in a town. Okay. But there's only, but we're growing. I think we've just now hit maybe 4,000 people.
See, that's enormous for me.
In our entire town.
I mean, for where I live. Amarillo's much larger, but I'm out on the prairie.
I'm out in the cornfields. But anyways, Fran, tell us about you. I love your background.
Thank you.
That is so cool.
Well, and she's known as the Spice Lady.
Me. I am. Yeah.
So what caused you to start doing your own? She like grows and grinds her own spices. So
no, I don't grow.
You don't grow. Oh, that's right. You don't like gardening. I thought you.
Yeah. No, we were talking about that. I love gardening, but I don't like to do it. I mean, I'm not a gardener.
She likes to observe it being done.
I recently went through making that decision this year. Just making the decision that no, I am not going to start doing pots and gardening on my patio. No. because it really came up to my mind to do that for several months, but I made a decision. I've got too many other things that I do, so
exactly
stop it. I would.
A friend of mine does hydroponic gardening.
That's what
and it's huge. I'm like, how do you take care of it? She said, well, it's fun. I was like, yeah, not for me.
Well, my son set up a deal, and this was before you could buy them commercially, where he had the fish. And the fish watered the plant, ran through the plants, and then the plants clean it, and then it goes back up into the fish, and they dirty up again, and then it runs through the roots. And he had that set up in his backyard before he married Stormy. So yeah.
Well, there's many ways, and there's a way you can actually throw your compost in the middle of a container that grows out of the sides of it. And you throw your compost in the center, so that's your fertilizer. Amazing. I love all that, but no, we got plenty to do. And so, as far as like where did I begin with this journey?
Well, what did you do before this journey? Let's go back a little further. What did you do?
Well, God gave me creative thinking. Okay, so he gave me the ability to envision things, and it took me many years to cultivate it and to accept it. I started out working at my first business was in 1971. So I go way back, and that was the first business, and it's too much of a story to get into how that started, but that got me kicked off into being self-employed and entrepreneur into the next part of rest of my life. So and that grew because you don't stay in one job when you're self-employed and you're entrepreneurial, and you grow into different capacities of it, such as advertising, marketing, printing, graphics, sales, design, and I've done every part of that. So, and also in those days we used to have an X-Acto knife before computers, and that's what I love about where I came from, is because I went back to when they set type in metal. That was just transitioning in the last few years before I started, where they were still setting type in metal in those days. And the colors that they could print were very limited. It was kind of like these pale stuff that looked like it was faded. And I used to go in the darkroom and develop my own negatives for typesetting and things like that. It was like a totally different process. And then I built that company built from 1 to 9 people. And long story short, I mean, it did come to an end. It was in Hollywood. It was woohoo, you know, a lot of recording industry work and so forth. So it was a lot of fun. And then when that did come to an end, it was going into the computer era, which that was another area of my comfort zone that was not easy for me. So I never went into learning computers until I was forced into it in the late 90s when I took a position with a company that needed me to learn how to enter things. And I just, you know, my brain is not totally technical, but it's had to learn to be technical in all these years of what we have now. So since, yeah, it has to learn. So now I'm really technical, but it took me doing it, not going out and looking, how do I do this? It's like, I have a problem. How do I solve it? Where do I go to learn it? And then it takes me time, several times to do it, to get comfortable. And then it moves on to the next problem, you know, because we're always adding technology to our life and marketing and products. And so speaking of aging, we're on an aging platform here. So the expert agent, the expert agers, right?
Aging experts.
Aging experts. I'm sorry. See, almost got it. Next time I'll get it right. So aging experts. What I love about aging in today's world is because if we can keep up with technology, our brains stay alive.
Yes.
If we don't enter into that realm of that area, then we will just, you know, it's not for everybody. I can't say everybody will do this. They're just fine if they don't, but it's my preference not to. Let's put it that way. So it's my preference not to get complacent and not to let my brain get to gel. It's constantly challenging my mind and it's challenging my energy. And how can I do better? I mean, I have all these tasks I have to do, and how am I going to get through them? I have to take good care of myself in order to do all this. So my goal in my aging process is to stay off of medication, because you know, that was where I had to learn what that was all about. But jumping forward from how I started young into about 2007 or 8 was when I went to water aerobics with a friend of mine. Every night I come home itching like heck all over myself. And that was horrible. It was like, what is this? It would last for hours. This itch went into my skin and it was all over the backside mainly. So researching that, I learned about toxins and the chemicals and the food and pharmaceutical industry. And I delved into that area and learned that it was the chlorine that I was allergic to. And this was in a swimming pool, that they just put so much of it in there that they have to keep people, they think they're keeping them safe from each other, but they're actually poisoning them. So that ended my aerobics. It wasn't a career, but my aerobics journey quickly. And I thought, oh, this is going to be great because I loved it. It was fun to do. So that led me into organic eating and organic learning. And that took a few years. I changed all my habits. Sorry, I'm getting a little fragmented here, but I have been using spices and herbs since about when I was 50. So that's 29 years, almost 29 years ago. Just about 50 years old, I started transitioning from salt and things in my foods into adding more vegetables and spices and herbs and things like that. So I was doing that, but I didn't realize about the product, the toxicity in the foods until I became allergic to chlorine. And that's what took another jump into stopping that, going organic, and learning more and more about that. And then as I became even older, about 2014, I was realizing how old am I then? About 70-ish. And so I'm thinking, you're not a youngster anymore. What are you going to do to maintain staying off of medication. I didn't, I just didn't want to, I didn't mind getting sick. I just don't want to take medication. And I don't mind getting older. I don't want to get sick. That's
Right.
what I mean. And so I started doing just a little research, and I learned how inflammation was really one of the key issues of getting sick and cancers and all that. And that led me to finding out what helps inflammation, and spices and herbs were a good product that would help that. And so that's when I got into spices and herbs in 2014. And then the search of just trying to find out ways to help myself stay well. So in the meantime, I'm still working. I'm still doing different projects. I'm still an entrepreneur, and I've started 2 or 3 different companies, 4 different companies. This one is, some of them were successful and lasted, and some of them didn't work, but we get lessons from everything. So,
Right.
and in the process of learning about these spices back in 2014, I thought that's a great idea. And then I learned that there was like, oh my gosh, there's 12 of them just for inflammation. So I bought about a 1/4 pound of each one of them, and I get them in, and I said, I'm not opening up 14 packages every time I want to saute my vegetables. So I poured them in a big bowl. I looked at this bowl and I said, oh my God, look at this big bowl. I'll never use all these spices. And so this is the thinking process as I went along. It wasn't like I thought ahead, and I said, oh, I'll just give some to my friends. And so I gave them to a few friends, and they said, oh, I love these. Can I have some more? Well, the entrepreneur light bulb went off. If they like them, and if there's inflammation spices, there must be spices for other issues. So I started researching and said, oh my gosh, look at this. So I came up with digestion. I came up with I had 5 blends built in 6 weeks with labels and bottles, and I was doing trade shows. Okay.
I love it.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I knew the process because I had been doing trade shows for my other products and things like that. So I knew the process of what I needed to start first, and that was find the trade show. Because you need to get in there. You need to think ahead. You don't just call them up and say, can I join your show? You have to go through a process, and some of them don't have availability. Fortunately, I was living in an area that had a lot of boutiques and trade and function, craft shows and big shows and things like that. So I was able to get in. Actually, one of them, I think they had to just railroad me in because of maybe, I don't remember, but I had trouble anyway. But I got lucky and got in. So one of them, the rest of them were easy. And I would do different shows like that, and people would walk up to my table and say, oh, I love this, but which one do I buy? Because I had 5 different blends. And then they'd say, oh, I love this, but what do I do with it? So all these questions started me thinking about what to do next. And so eventually I put all of them in one blend, and I called them smoothie spices. That solved 2 problems. What do I do with them? You put them in your smoothies. How do, and it took the issue of, and then I used, the titles were all five of the blends were now in one blend, but there was 54 different spices. Pardon me, 39 for that blend. I got so many blends, they all have different numbers. So that solved what to do with them. And that started working fine. And then I started onward and onward until I had, the Spice Lady didn't really come in until about 2019.
Oh, just in time for the lockdown.
Well, actually, it was 2 months after the lockdown.
Oh.
Okay, but actually, because Sue Brooke had a lot to do with that. I've known Sue since 2014. When I first did my spice blend, we used to go down around and have meetings, and I would, how do I promote my spices? I mean, we'd have all these technical meetings, and I'd sit in on them and learn how to market, because that was a new area for me in that respect. So fast forward into 2019, I had put up an Amazon site. I was actually doing sales on Amazon. We still have the Amazon site. Talk about technology. I was on there today, and I said, oh my God, it's like, I need some help. I need help on that area. I can't do this all because there's too many new things to learn as they keep changing things. And then it takes, I was there for about 2 hours trying to figure out one issue. And I still didn't, and I went in and I said, leave it alone, come back later. Okay, so that's when the Spice Lady came in, about 2019, when Sue Brooke called me up and she says, we are starting a mastermind, and I need you to be there. She just said, you be there. I mean, Sue and I have a good relationship.
You have those friends that you can do that with.
You can do that too. Yes.
Yeah,
so
Barbara and I do it.
She grew that mastermind to many people. It was on, and then it transitioned into Alignable when she started working for Alignable. That's another story, but
yes, and we're going to have her on. So y'all hold on. Sue's got a great story. I've already asked her to be on. We just haven't set the date yet. So.
Oh, good. Yeah, absolutely. And that's when I developed the character of, I needed the branding, because on Alignable, you need to be seen. Okay. You want people to notice you. And I had, this is kind of a cute story also. The costume actually derived from Let's Make a Deal. Back in 2016, I think it was, Sue and had a group that was going to be on Let's Make a Deal, including me, as a fundraiser for something. I never even did find out what the fundraiser was for. And I needed a costume. So I went to Party Store and I bought my hat, and I bought my apron, and I put the sign on, and I made a big sign for my I Love Garlic, and I went to Let's Make a Deal with it. And I won $100. They pulled me out of the audience, and I won $100 for, sorry, I can't remember what the reason was. It might have been my costume or something. Do not remember.
But you'll take the $100. Exactly.
Yes, it took 6 months to get it. 6 months to get it.
And they watching the show, you think they hand you the cash as you walk out the door.
I know. And they also said this, if this doesn't air, the prizes are invalid. So if
really?
Yeah, oh my God, I lost my total respect for those shows, because they said even the people that won the cars or whatever the big deals were, if the show does not end, the products are not won. They do not get their items.
If the show doesn't get aired on TV.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Now, if anybody wants to counteract me on that, feel free to. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I learned at that time, and it really appalled me at the moment. So,
well, and it may be that particular show. Maybe I wonder if it's all of them.
I don't know. So I'm saying this on a podcast. So I'm saying don't hold me to it. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I learned at the time. So now, that's where the costume came from. And then when I went into Alignable, I needed a branding idea, then this came up, and I went out and had my pictures taken as the Spice Lady and started making the thing. And I've built a nice present on Alignable. Mm-hmm. And now when you go, and this is a pointer for anybody doing any marketing, if you have the little picture even on your own email, and use something interesting that people will remember you by. Like, I know, not just your initials, put your photo up there. Right. So it's really important. And so in the last 4 years, how long has it been? Yeah, 4 years on Alignable, the marketing and the experience and the things that I've learned on Alignable and how to build my business. Now I have 42 products. I'm just going, and I'm in the process of writing a book, which is called Secrets to Becoming a Super Ager, Your Guide to Living Robustly into Your 70s, 80s, 90s, 100s with Spunk, Sparkle, and Zing. And, I've got the cover done. It's 80% done. It's going to have almost 200 pages. And it's taking a lot to do this, okay? I mean, a lot of time. Yeah. And so my website had to be rebuilt and added these products. I had to do new blends. And now how I learned about blending, self-taught. Yeah. Okay. You learn and you research and you get the resources and you just read and if you have a purpose, you find the information.
Exactly.
And I loved it. I mean, put it to it like a duck takes to water. Yeah. God gives us gifts. Yes. And at first I thought, this is a gift from God. this whole business, this whole product. I've been working on it for a long time. It's done well like this, and it depends on my marketing, how it does. And even the reorders depend on if I market. So it does not, nothing goes by itself. Nothing takes off, they don't take on a life of its own. So, so when, okay, I lost my thought about, what was my last thing that I said?
Well, you were talking about your book and things like that, but I think we're going to have you back on because
I'm rambling then.
No, you're not rambling. I want to hear
great.
more. So
Well, as far as
to do a part 2.
As far as the couch, there is no couch for me.
Yes, I had told her earlier that the show is to help people to not sit on the couch and watch soap operas and eat bonbons for the rest of their life when they retire. And not true for Barbara, not true for me. So we're trying to help people. But
I remember what I was going to say quickly. Okay. This is like a purpose, okay? And then God chose me to do this. And the purpose of this product is to help people it's not to make the money. It's to help people stay off of medication and lead a healthier life as they age. So I just wanted to throw that in because that's one thing I didn't get to.
And that's one of the things Carol and I talk about it quite often, is that it is for such a time as this.
Yes.
Right now, this is why we are here. This is to help the people that are our age and who want to stay vibrant and purposeful and passionate, because it is possible. It just,
very much so.
Yeah.
So before we get off, tell people how they can get a hold of you.
Well, you can go to my website. You can just use franthespicelady.com.
Okay.
Takes us there.
Spicelady.com.
Yeah. And or I don't have my email is Fran Jessee with 2 E's, JESSEE @gmail.com. You can contact me that way or through the website. Or Alignable. If you're on Alignable, I'm there on Alignable. So thank you.
Yes. Send her a connection request. Send all 3 of us a connection request.
Yes. And you mean people listening?
We're not here to promote Alignable, but we're all on it, and it is a great platform. And if you want to connect with people, there's not a better way.
Yeah. Well, I write about promoting Alignable, but the reason I talk about Alignable like that is because it's friendly, and that's where it's easier to help somebody there.
Yes.
If they are looking for help from you, it's easier to have that because you can share.
Exactly. So get a hold of her and follow up. We will have her back on for a part 2. I promise you that. We'll have to get that recording time booked because this has been too much fun. So everybody, I want to thank you for joining us today. Remember, if you're watching on Facebook, to click like and share. Please tell your friends about us. And if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure and first of all, subscribe because we need subscribers. Give us a thumbs up because that helps people to see where, it helps the algorithms. It puts us in front of people's faces, so to speak. And click the bell so you know we're coming on. And feel free to reach out and comment to us on either platform. And y'all have a good day. Circle up. Make that second half of your life better than the first half.
Bye, everybody. See you next time. Have a good one.
Yes. Thanks.
You are delightful. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, you're welcome.